This is TVOntario, Channel 19 in Toronto, Channel 9 in Thunder Bay.
Science, a world of surprising facts and incredible wonders. Stay tuned as we travel through the exciting, unending world of scientific phenomena.
Oh, no, not another science show.
Yes, it's not another science show.
This week's episode, No Sweat.
Hi, David.
Well, hi, Judy.
You want to come jogging with me?
No, thanks. I don't really think there's any good reason for exercising.
Exercising makes you fit.
Fit what?
Very funny. Makes your heart beat slower, it makes you stronger and more flexible.
Sounds like a fitness commercial. Have you got any facts to back that up?
Have I got facts? Stay tuned, because this week we're going to look at how your body works, what exercising can do for it, and David's going to take a fitness test. All this and more on Not Another Science Show. You ready for your fitness test?
Is it a written test?
Oh, Stringer, you're hopeless. Before discussing exercise, let's look at the incredible machine that lets us take part in all kinds of activities, like running, jumping, cycling, swimming. The body. The body is made up of different systems, each one designed to perform certain functions. The muscular system enables the body to move. The approximately 620 skeletal muscles pull the bones around, so you can get the body from one place to another. Skeletal muscles are made up of long fibers that are bundled together in groups. You can see the fibers in a piece of steak. We usually call them the grain of the meat. Muscles move by changing chemical energy into mechanical energy, causing tension and contraction. When a muscle contracts, it usually shortens. Sometimes pulling a bone, like a lever, across a hinge. The muscles are attached to the bones by long, tough fibers called tendons. The largest tendon in the body is at the back of the heel. It's called the Achilles tendon, and it attaches the calf muscle to the foot. When the calf muscle contracts, it pulls on the tendon, moving the foot. Because muscles can only pull, not push, they work together in groups to move the body around. For example, to pull the arm up, the biceps, the muscle on the top of the arm, contracts. To pull the arm down, the biceps relaxes, and the triceps, the muscle under the arm, contracts. You can feel the contraction if you put your hand on the muscle involved. The number of fibers in any given muscle is fixed at birth. So a muscle builder has no more fibers than the proverbial 97-pound weakling. What the muscle builder does have is a greater amount of contracting protein inside each fiber. The fibers are also thicker, thereby giving the muscle builder bigger and stronger muscles.
Men can develop bigger and more powerful muscles than women because they have more of the male hormone, testosterone. But that doesn't mean that women can't build up their muscles. Muscles need oxygen to convert nutrients into chemical energy. That chemical energy is then converted into mechanical energy. The oxygen is provided by the cardiovascular system. That consists of the lungs, heart, blood, and blood vessels. The lungs are like two large sponges suspended in the chest cavity. To fill them with air, the diaphragm drops down and your rib cage expands. That lessens the air pressure inside so the air rushes in. To squeeze all the air out, the diaphragm moves back up and the chest cavity contracts. The lungs take oxygen out of the air and transfer it to the blood. They also take carbon dioxide out of the blood. That's expelled when you breathe out. Your breathing rate's controlled by your brain. It does that by monitoring the carbon dioxide level in your blood. If the level gets too high, your brain increases your breathing rate. The blood circulated throughout the body by the pumping action of the heart. The heart not only pumps the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the various parts of the body, but it pumps the deoxygenated blood from the various parts of the body back to the lungs. The heart is made of a special type of muscle called cardiac muscle.
Right now, my heart is pumping about this much blood. It's called the cardiac output, and it's a product of the number of beats per minute and the amount of blood pumped with each beat. Dissolved in this amount of blood is enough oxygen to keep my cells functioning happily. But once I start to move, my cells need more oxygen.
Go. During heavy exercise, Judy's heart may have to pump this volume of blood each minute just to supply enough oxygen to keep her muscles moving. To meet this kind of a demand, her heart has to pump faster, but it also has to pump more blood with each beat. Let's hear it. A fit person generally has a more efficient heart that doesn't have to pump as fast to move the same volume of blood around. That's because they pump more blood with each stroke. It's called having a larger stroke volume. That's why superb athletes have lower than average heart rates. The resting heart rate for an average person is between 60 and 80 beats per minute. The resting heart rate for a superb athlete is around 40 beats per minute. I'm a 90. You want to try it again?
All right, you ready? I think I'm getting out of breath.
Let's see if you can beat my score.
Okay.
Did you know that your body produces sweat to keep cool? When a fluid evaporates, it absorbs heat. When you exercise, sweat is secreted by your body. It evaporates and cools you down.
Some people think exercise is boring, but it can be fun. It all depends on what you like to do. You might not want to spin on your head or do backflips to keep in shape, but any activity that uses the whole body, like roller skating, cross-country skiing, swimming, even walking, can end up making you feel better and fitter. Trying to define fitness is like trying to define success. It's different for everyone. For some, it's having humongous muscles that pop shirt seams. For others, it's being slim enough to wear the latest fashion. For athletes, it's being fast enough to win a gold medal. But for most of us, it's wanting to be able to run for a bus without collapsing. Fitness can be divided into 4 components: strength, flexibility, muscular endurance, and most important, the ability of the body to produce and use energy. This is usually called cardiovascular fitness. A breakdancer is probably fit in all 4 categories, but there must be an easier way to get into shape.
It may not look like I'm embarking on a fitness program, but I am. See, before starting any fitness program, it's a good idea to know how fit you are in each of the categories. Carol's just taken my blood pressure to make sure I'm okay. Now she's taking my heart rate at rest. Why is it you want to know my heart rate at rest?
Gives us a base indication of what fitness level you're at before you actually go through any testing. We also want to see what the difference is between your lying and your standing heart rate, because you shouldn't have to work that much harder as you're standing as to when you're lying down.
The first test we're going to do today is for strength. Strength is defined as the maximum force that a muscle can exert. Makes ordinary things like carrying groceries home a lot easier. Okay, what is the first strength test?
First of all, we got to do push-ups. I'll go through and explain everything to you.
Okay.
Okay.
They're done this way. I remember
Yes.
that much.
Okay, what you're going to be doing, you're in a full-length position, David. Your hands are underneath the shoulders. Keep the body in a straight line so that you're not arching the back. You're going to bend down, the elbows to a 90-degree angle, and then push back up. Now, it's also really important to breathe out on exertion. So as you're pushing up, you want to breathe out and then breathe in on the way back down.
Okay.
Are you ready? You've got 15 seconds.
Okay.
You want to do as many as you can in those 15 seconds. Start from the upright position. Ready, set, go.
1.
Don't forget to breathe. And stop. Good.
Okay, what do push-ups tell you about my strength?
Well, David, we've set up standard scores through people that come into the Fitness Institute, and we're comparing the number of push-ups that you have done as to the number that they have done, and that gives us a general indication as to what level you are within the general population.
Okay, we know about the strength in my arms. Is there another test for strength?
And when you sit up, David, you've got to clasp the hands behind the head. As you sit up, the elbows touch the knees, and when you go back, the backs of the hands touch the mat. Again, it's the same principle. As you're sitting up, you want to breathe out on exertion.
Okay,
Okay, are you ready?
I guess so.
Set and go. That's it. 2, good. 3, keep going.
Thanks, Darlene. Muscle strength depends on the amount a muscle is used. Muscles atrophy very quickly when they're not used, as you probably already know if you've ever been in a cast. To improve your strength and endurance, you have to make your muscles work harder than they're used to. You can do this by lifting heavy objects, like weights, or with exercises that lift your body, like sit-ups and push-ups. The important thing is to do the exercises slowly and with control. You want to build up the muscles, not tear them.
Flexibility is the ability of joints to move throughout a wide range. If you're inactive, you get inflexible really quickly because muscles that aren't used regularly tend to shorten. Increased flexibility in a person means that they're less prone to pulled muscles and injuries. But how are we measuring my total flexibility from just this one stretch?
What we're actually measuring here, David, is your hamstring and your trunk flexibility. Your hamstrings are one of the most major muscle groups that you have in your body, and you use them on a daily basis, so we want to be able to measure those as well.
And what about trunk flexibility then? What's that?
Basically, that's the flexibility that you have across your back, and any time that you're leaning forward, you're using those muscles to stretch, so the more flexibility you have there, then the more flexibility you'll have indicated on the test.
Stretch exercises increase flexibility because they lengthen the muscles and tendons, allowing the joints to move more freely. But it's important to do stretches very gently. Slowly and carefully stretch the muscle to its limit. The reason is there's a reflex action involved in stretching that keeps the muscles contracted while you're trying to stretch them. If you hold the stretch until the reflex action has a chance to relax, you can stretch the muscles even further. Never bounce. When you bounce, you just fight this reflex, and you may tear the muscle or tendon involved. Everybody limber? Okay, let's break. Oh, my turn.
Cardiovascular fitness is defined as the body's ability to take in, transport, and use oxygen. If your cardiovascular system's in good shape, you can do physical activity better and longer, and do things like walk up the stairs without feeling faint. Okay, here I am pedaling. I'm pretty well connected. Why the blood pressure cuff?
All this equipment, David, we're using for a screening device, so I can tell whether there's any abnormal reactions to the exercise and to the stress. So I'm looking at your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your electrocardiogram all at the same time.
What is the electrocardiogram actually showing you?
It's just giving us a clear picture of what your heart is actually doing.
So this seems pretty easy so far. Why am I doing this? How am I doing on the test?
Well, so far this is just a warm-up, David. What I'm going to be having you do is pedal up to 85% of your maximum heart rate. Now, that target heart rate is where you should be exercising on a general basis during the day, whenever you exercise.
Who decided my target heart rate?
That's based on age. And what happens is everybody that's the same age as you are has the same target heart rate, but what differs is the level of fitness that they're at. Now, if somebody was to come in, if they were less fit than you are, then I wouldn't be able to turn the tension up nearly as high on the bike in order to get their heart rate to the same level. And eventually what will happen is your heart will start working more efficiently and you will be able to pedal at a higher tension, but your heart rate won't increase any higher. So that's an indication that your heart is working more efficiently and you're doing better.
Well, that's really something to look forward to. Be able to work harder.
Just as a muscle gets stronger when it is used regularly, so does the cardiovascular system. The key to strengthening it is to make it deliver more oxygen than it's used to doing. You can do this with any kind of physical activity that keeps the heart pumping at a certain rate for about 15 minutes. The ideal rate is between 75% and 85% of the heart's maximum capacity. It's called the target heart rate zone, and it's a function of your age. To find the upper limit, simply subtract your age from 200. The lower limit is 170 minus your age. For example, I'm 30 years old. 30 from 200 is 170, and 30 from 170 is 140. So my target heart rate is between 140 and 170. Activities that aren't vigorous enough to get your heart rate into the target zone won't improve your heart's fitness very much. Activities that push your heart rate beyond the zone won't add anything extra to fitness, and they'll probably tire you out before the 15 minutes are up. One quick way to test if you're beyond your limit is to talk. If you can't talk during your workout, then you're working too hard.
Exercising regularly doesn't mean exercising 2 hours every single day. 3 to 4 times a week is fine. Actually, it's a good idea to exercise every other day because exercise breaks down body tissue, and the body needs a chance to rebuild new and stronger tissue. And exercising more than 5 times a week really doesn't add anything extra to your fitness level. But it's important to remember that some of the benefits of physical activity start to fade away after 48 hours.
The best cardiovascular exercise involves a gradual increase in activity rate until you reach your training level. This gradual buildup of activity boosts the oxygen supply to the muscles and lets the cardiovascular system know you're going to do some extra work. Before you start your cardiovascular exercises, it's a good idea to warm the body up. You can do this with flexibility exercises. They'll stretch the muscles and reduce the chances of muscle strains or tears. Hey, where are you going?
When you exercise, your blood vessels are dilated. They're opened up to let more blood get to the muscles. If you stop suddenly, the blood can pool in your legs, leaving less blood available for your brain, and you might faint. The situation's worse if you step into a hot shower or a sauna, because that dilates the blood vessels even further. So cool down doing strength and flexibility exercises. It's a good time to do them anyway because the muscles are warm.
The warm-up and cool-down periods will add about another 15 minutes to your exercise program. So that means you can get your body into great shape for about 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Not bad for a body that will be able to meet the demands of everyday life. Well, David, want to race?
Want to quit?
Are gadgets and clothes that make you sweat a lot good for losing weight? Not really. Although you do lose weight because of water loss, the effect doesn't last. Normal body processes replace the water within 48 hours.
A truly fit person doesn't carry around excess body fat, but measuring body fat can be tricky. Those height-weight charts don't really give an accurate reading because they don't take into account different body types. For instance, a slightly built person with small muscles may be well within the range of the weight on the chart, but still be over fat. Remember that old saying that fat floats? Well, it's true. Fat floats and muscle and bone don't. So the difference between my weight in air and my weight underwater can give a more accurate reading of my body fat. Are you ready to dunk me, Lorraine?
Okay.
Let's go. Oh, you didn't tell me the ladder moved. Okay, what do I do?
Why don't you sit on the chair here? Right to the back.
This is fun.
Put your feet up on the front bar.
Now what do I do?
Now I want you to take a deep breath in, and then you're going to bend over and blow out all your air. And once you finish blowing out all your air, then I'm going to take a reading from the scale up above, and then I'll tap when I got the reading, okay? I want you to be as still as possible. Okay?
You remember to tap.
I'll try to.
Okay. I had to try and blow out all my air because air, like fat, is less dense than water. Any leftover air would mess up the calculations.
Good. Getting better each time.
Seems that the more you do the test, the better you become at getting rid of the air. That's why I had to do the test 7 times.
All right,
Oh,
that's it.
now what?
Okay, you can get out of the pool. I'm going to go get your results done.
Oh, you mean you haven't got a pool like this at home? Well, it's okay. You can still tell if you're over fat with the pinch test. Using your thumb and index finger, pinch a fold of skin from the back of your upper arm, and then another one from your abdomen just to one side of your navel, and then also from the back of one thigh halfway up. Have someone measure those folds with a ruler. Generally, they should be less than 1 inch. Oops.
I have some good news and some bad news about getting rid of excess fat. First, the bad news. You can't reduce the fatty tissue in one specific area of the body by excessively exercising that area. There's no such thing as spot reducing. Now the good news. If you're already exercising to increase your strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular fitness, you're probably losing the excess fat as a bonus. The amount of body fat depends on heredity, diet, and activity. But activity seems to be the most important. Most people who are over fat don't eat more than their leaner neighbors. They're just a lot less active. The secret to losing fat is to expend more energy than you take in. So, if you start exercising regularly and you don't increase the amount of food you eat, you'll lose fat.
Hey, Judy, look. I'm in perfect physical condition for a 60-year-old man.
David. Oh, you didn't do so badly right here and here.
If there's a word for what I feel.
I'm disappointed that I'm in such bad shape. By the way, you were a real good sport to take all of those tests.
I just wish it had been a written test. I had to take those tests several times, once for real in the morning so the results could be tabulated.
By the way, David, where are the results?
Then I had to do all the tests again so they could get the wide shot.
Oh, they're not so bad. Nothing a little exercise program couldn't fix up.
And I had to do all the tests over again for the close-up shots.
Why do the fat tests vary from place to place?
Oh, the tank is much more accurate. That's another thing. I was in the tank all morning. They dunked me 7 times.
Oh, that's a shame. By the way, David, when are you going to start your exercise program?
I've definitely decided to... Oh, look, we're all out of time. See you next week.
I think you're avoiding the issue.
No, I've started watching the exercise.
Stay tuned for part 3 of The Prisoner of Shark Island, based on a true life